Good morning. Once again, my name is Evangelist Mary Smith, and I am the CEO and founder of Shaking the Nations, Inc. And we'd like to welcome you here this morning to Shaking the Nations, because this is what we do. And I'm so excited and I'm happy that you're here with us this morning. I'm excited for my brothers and sisters that are in the mission field and that's doing missionary work. I'm excited because God has chosen you, the people of God, to go ye therefore into all the world, to preach, to teach, and to baptize in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. We here at Shaking the Nations, we are doing great things in the kingdom of God. Our objectives is, our ministry believe in producing progress in communities, cities, countries, and other continents. If we don't go to a city or a community or a continent and impact you in a mighty way, we have did things in vain. Our vision is to educate, empower, elevate, and excel in all communities, cities, countries, and other continents to meet the total spiritual, mentally, physically, and financial need of a man. Our mission is to provide awareness to produce progress and create possibility that change is possible. Building people, communities, cities, countries, and other continents to conform and transform to a higher standard of quality, equality of life, and progress. Ministry summary: Shaking the Nation Ministry believe in producing progress, building up people, leadership to help transform communities, cities, countries, and other continents. This is our headquarters here, 750 Glenwood Avenue. This is headquarters for Shaking the Nation. We were doing it out of the house, but now God has allowed us to step it up. He said you're going to have a building, and so we are here at this location so people can find us. This is our training facility that we are able to use and train people, educate people with Christian education, missionary, even have fellowships like this on a monthly basis. We're going to start beginning to meet with missionaries once a month to bring them together so we can find out how we can meet the needs of our missionaries that are in the field. I spoke to one of the missionaries in South Africa. How many know Reverend Melvin Jackson? Remember Brother Melvin Jackson? Brother Melvin Jackson is in Baltimore, Maryland in a rehab center. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's had a very bad stroke. And see, those are the type of things that we need to be aware of about missionaries. We have a Diallo that's in Madagascar on the Mercy ship that's out there. We need to help meet her needs. And this is one of the reasons why Shaking the Nation has come together to make you not only aware that we need to be in the mission field, but we need to be helping our fellow missionaries. And like the brother said over here, especially women that's in the mission field. And also, Brother Melvin Jackson, Sister Loretta Jackson, she's in South Africa. This is how I found out about Brother Melvin Jackson. She was telling me, she said, Evangelist, are you aware that our brother has been put in a rehab center? And this brother has made a lot of impact in the mission field with other churches, mobilizing churches. You know, and you can attest to that, Brother Richard, because he's impacted on New Life Ministries. He's been around. He's been around here at this table. So, you know, we are here at Shaking the Nations. We want to make sure that our total man is taken care of as a missionary. We want to train you, we want to educate you, and we want to send you. This is the purpose that Shaking the Nations is global. You heard the countries that I named that we're in. I can send you to any one of those countries, to any pastor in that country, and they will receive you. And this is how the Bible did it. When Paul wrote and said, respect my brother, receive him. So Shaking the Nation is set up biblical base. We're set up just like how the missionaries started in the first church in the book of Acts. If you read the book of Acts, there were 3 missionary journeys that Paul took. And I'm just summarizing it. So Shaking the Nations, we here at Shaking the Nations, we cover other ministries. We cover other women. We cover other men. Whoever wants to come on board with Shaking the Nations, God can use you. Shaking the Nations, we not only as a ministry that send missionaries, we are a prayer ministry. We prayed a whole year before we set up our church. 1 solid year, we decided to pray and seek God's face before we put a church into existence. Shaking the Nations not only planted a church here, but also in Miami, the Excel Church, and my son is the pastor of that church, and that church is growing. Shaking the Nations, we here at Shaking Nations, we also, I gave you a package this morning, process how we set up our missionary teams. You can look through this packet at your own time, where what the process, the orientation, we don't just bring you to the mission field. We train you before you go. We process you. We make sure that this is what God is calling you to do. I personally will not travel with anyone to the mission field unless I train you. I will not travel with you, nor will I send you to the missionary because I want you to be a missionary. But you have to be trained. And in the future, Shaking the Nation is setting up Train the Trainer, that we'll be able to train other churches. We're still mobilizing. See, you have to mobilize African American, but you also have to train them. I will not bring this to a pastor and say, you need to have missions, and I can't train your people. You know, your people need to understand why you're doing mission work. You know, what it takes to be a missionary. Some people say short-term missions is not worth it. Short-term mission is worth it in the African American community, even more so because they don't go. I'm saying that as an African American woman because I know this. And I'm saying it because if we don't train our people, and if we don't take them to the mission field and let them see how God could use them, they won't go. And talking to my pastors, I have several relationships with pastors where I'm able to walk in and say, Pastor, look, you shouldn't take your team to Ghana. It's dangerous there. You should not go to Liberia, West Africa, because they have Ebola. Before the Ebola spread, my pastor was heading to Liberia. I emailed him, Pastor, this is not the time. What happened? 3 months later, Ebola broke out like crazy. So, you know, we are a resource agency. We can give you resources. We can find the resources. You know, my brother over here, Dr. Mel Fareed, he's helping us to find resources. Missionaries need resources. It takes money to do missions. It takes money to run your organization. And if we sit around the table and just fellowship, eat our donuts, and we're not getting anywhere. We need information. We need resources. And this is what Shaking the Nation is about. We have a lot to offer. This is one of my mentees, Sister Vanessa, stand up. She can attest to what Shaking the Nation has did here in Atlanta. She can tell you some of the things that we not only global, but we've been here national. We've traveled to Louisiana. We did ministry downtown with the homeless. Sister Vanessa, you want to share anything before I go further about what Shaking the Nations is about? Because this is part of our presentation about Shaking the Nation. And we have you here this morning to partnership with you, to find out how we can come alongside you.
Amen. Well, one thing I want to stress is that we are biblically based. Our scripture that we stand on is Haggai, the 2nd chapter and the 7th verse. And it says, I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come. And I will fill this house with glory, says the Lord of hosts. So when we talk about how we fill the house with glory, we have the Atlanta World Prayer Center. And that's what we house right over here in the Bean Worship Sanctuary on every Sunday. We also have our global prayer line that we do every Monday through Friday, every morning at 6:30 a.m., where we have missionaries and intercessors from all over the world. We have intercessors out of Africa calling in, and we do a morning check-in on what's happening in the mission field, a roll call, and we do proceed with our intercessory prayer. Many of you know about our global missions encounters. Pastor Mary has shared some of the countries that we have traveled to, and that we partner with other church organizations to show leadership that allow them to be able to go onto the mission field. We do a lot of humanitarian relief projects. Our main mission right now, as Dr. Fareed said, we are focusing on the women. We have Operation Mom. We're going into the communities, the underserved communities, and we're focusing on moms. Mothers of the motherland. We look at the midwives in the community, and we see what we can do to give them essential tools for safe birth, because We know the infant mortality rate in a lot of our partner countries is very high. But we also focus on the moms here in Atlanta. We focus on the single mothers here. We call them God's babies moms. And we go out in the community. We have a mobile clothing closet where we bring clothes for these women. We sponsor their children in different mentorship programs. We always have different recreational activities, tickets to shows at the Fox Theater, just to give a mother a break. So it's not a mom's day off. We try to bring the mothers into the ministry, teach the mothers to teach the children how to pray. That's a major emphasis of this ministry. The Higher Learning Exchange, some of you have experienced it in various forms. Those are our training sessions. During the Higher Learning Exchange, we offer classes to learn how to be a missionary, to learn what Evangelism 101 is, and to just bring more awareness to global missions and what we're doing as African Americans on the mission field. It's also Sunday school. So it's where you come and you learn the Word of God at our Higher Learning Exchange. Everyone knows that we're known for the motherland is calling. We know that Africa has a great need, and we want to shine a light on Africa in our organization. So what we try to do is a yearly The Motherland is Calling, where we bring missionaries who are focusing on Africa, and we tell the stories from the mission field, and we share the culture from the different countries in Africa. And then one of my favorite is our partnership that we now have in Israel. We've made about 3 different trips to Israel where we are taking missionaries and pastors to the Holy Land to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. We get baptized in the Jordan River, and we really go through the Bible and see exactly where was Paul, where was Peter. We go and we see where Elijah was, and we see those sites in Israel. And it's very empowering and educational for a missionary or pastor to actually have that experience. Everyone knows about the crisis in Haiti. We have a praise report from our pastor Luke in Haiti. We were there right when the earthquake hit, and we've been going on a consistent basis yearly to Haiti, and we're very excited to announce that in October. When is the opening? In June?
In
June. He has built a cathedral in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. From the rocks, from the rubble, from the tents. It's been how many years now, Pastor Mary?
About 5 years.
5 years, and it's been a fundraising campaign where we've partnered with New Birth, Berean Christian Church, ministries all over the country to help raise money to build this church back up. So we're very excited about what's happening in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, but also in the mountain region where we do a lot of our missionary work. So I just am honored to be a part of this organization. This is my spiritual mother, okay? This is who's teaching me how to be a missionary. So I just wanted to make sure we prepared this PowerPoint, but we had a little technical difficulty with it. But we just wanted to share some of the outreach. So many of you are involved in local churches and some of those same outreach programs that you have, we also have here. But the prayer wall for families is something that we really pride ourselves on. That when we see a family in crisis, we build a wall of prayer around that family. When we hear a pastor call us from South Africa and he says, my church is falling apart, the drug lords are coming in the community, we build a prayer wall around that pastor. So we're really proud of what's happening with our prayer wall. We're a ministry primarily of women doing the work, but we're a growing ministry. We have quite a few youth in our church, and we're just excited about what God is doing. And we just had some great pictures, and we just want you to spread the word about what's happening. Oh, she printed out some photos. But again, Pastor Mary has worked with other nonprofit organizations to train their missionaries. We've taken dance groups and corporate groups on the mission field. Again, we've done extensive work here in Atlanta locally. We partner with Mabel Thomas, the state representative, and we do a lot of work over in the Vine City community. When we go out there, we're blessing the children. That's a part of Operation Mom, with bicycles and the holiday gifts. But we also go back and we follow up, and we do the work in the spiritual mentorship with the families. And we have the partnership with the homeless shelter. And we're excited about being a part of FCS Urban Ministries. I don't know if you have time while you're here, but FCS Urban Ministries has really made a consistent impact over time here in the South Atlanta area. So we're proud to be a partner of that. As Pastor Mary said, our administrative offices are held here at FCS Urban Ministries, and we have our sanctuary here. So we're really excited about that. And again, I just want to outline some of the geographical countries just in case if we miss some. South Africa, Haiti, Brazil, Belize, Israel, Swaziland, Uganda, Liberia, Ghana, Nigeria, and Jamaica, West Indies are our primary areas of focus. And we just had some beautiful pictures from the mission field that I'll play for you later that you can watch on the screen. So again, on behalf of Shaking the Nations International Ministries, we thank you all for your time, and we thank you for caring about what's happening on the mission field. I'm going to turn it back over to Evangelist.
And the last thing I want to talk to you about is we having a mission conference in July, from July 9th through the 12th. You can put that on your calendars. Hopefully we'll have it here at this location. We'll have it set up some kind of way, but we'll keep you informed. That's why we need your addresses. We needed your information so we can inform you. We also formed a partnership here locally with an agency, Pastor Henry. Is that CareNet? That's CareNet. And this is an agency that helps women with children. For Mother's Day, we're supposed to bring together mother baskets with baby clothes, baby, materials for the babies to bring to their closets. So if you know anybody who has any kind of stuff they want to donate for babies, newborn babies, you could contact us here at Shaking the Nations. We're excited about what this fellowship brings to the community. We're excited about Shaking the Nations and various things that we'll be doing here at Shaking the Nations. I want to thank you once again. Also, Operation Mom, one of the pictures you'll see me sitting with the president in Liberia, West Africa. This woman, before Ebola hit, she was sharing with me how much she needed help, medical relief, how much help she really needed. And now, the Ebola hit, now she's getting the help that she needs because of Ebola. I'm sorry, so many 10,000 people lost their lives to Ebola. And we cannot forget these countries, because truly we have been going in and out ministering to their people. We have went there and did the work. We've seen it. Uganda, Africa, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say my pastor, Dr. Karen B. Lee at Berean Christian Church, we mobilized that church to do mission work, and every year consistently they're going to the mission field in Uganda, Africa. And Dr. Lee is on board going with the team. And see, this is where we need to talk to the pastors. If we're going to mobilize African American churches, we're going to have to talk directly to the pastor. We have to get him fired up about missions. And then he'll get his people fired up about missions. The mission teams at Berean Christian Church, they're steadily going. I was there, and I just moved on to the next assignment. And I know God is pleased with the work. That's how you know what you do can last, if you're doing it for Christ, because it'll continue on when you're not there. And this is what we are trying to do here at Shaking the Nations, as we mobilize our other churches and our other sisters and brothers about doing mission work. Even in Miami, some churches that were mobilized to go to the field. And the church that Vanessa is talking about in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, when the earthquake first hit, I was able to bring 9 men into Port-au-Prince, Haiti, set up tents, and then Pastor Luke church crumbled down to the ground. And then the second year, me and Sister Vanessa went in. We were scared, but we went in. We went in, and we prayed, and we asked God, you got to send us some help. And we were able to make a donation to Pastor Luke to start the foundation. And if you could see this cathedral this man built on top of that foundation, and I said, thank you, Lord. And so the other day he called me, he said, Evangelist, I have to call you because, being instrumental of calling other people up, y'all need to pour money in this mission in Haiti. Other churches were pouring money into that mission. I have a church that committed to make a $100,000 donation to this particular ministry in Haiti. See, I'm moving on to my next assignment, because now this church, and it is an African American church, and the pastor, he was scared to go in, but I brought him in. I said, come on, you're going to go. And it's a mega ministry. See, and it's not because they don't want to go. Some of them are really afraid to go. But when they see somebody like me leading them in, they're like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. So don't limit what God can do through you as missionaries. And it's so powerful to see them go into Haiti, You know, and I tell them, you have to be careful, follow my instructions, you know, don't deviate, don't leave the group, stay together, because we know what happens in Haiti. In Haiti right now, the church is up. They have an inauguration service in June. They've invited me, but like I told the pastor, I don't know if I'll be there. You know, my part was dead. I celebrate y'all. I'm happy for y'all, but now I got to move to another country, another assignment. So with that said, I just want to thank each and everyone for coming out here this morning, just to come together. You know, we were expecting more people. I don't know if they got lost. I don't know what happened, but I hope we can meet here again. And I hope that when we come together, we have resources. We have information that we can pass to each other and say, this what could help your ministry. Here's a book, or here's some information, or here's a lead on what can help your organization to strive. We don't just want you to survive, but we want you to strive also. We want you to make it as a missionary. And we don't want you to just go to the mission field one time and don't go back. Because I've taken missionaries in that only went one time, and they say, Evangelist, this ain't for me. Okay, I can't handle that. I can't handle seeing that little child looking like that. You know, so if all my going and everything that I did, if I get me 2 or 3 long-term missionaries out of the crowd, I feel like I've accomplished something. And I know of 3 of my missionaries that are long-term missionaries that went on short-term missions. And God is using them in the mission field. And that were trained at Berean Christian Church, because I trained at Berean Christian Church over 100 missionaries. I know that for a fact. And so black churches need to get on board. And I shared this with my pastor. He said he was going to try to tell some of his buddies to come together so they can hear about what he's doing in Uganda. Selena is the representative for Berean Christian Church. Pastor Lee supports this ministry. You know, he covers me. You know, he believes in what I'm doing, because he know I'm a serious woman when it comes to ministry. And he know I believe in doing mission work to a level of excellence. So with that said, I'm going to turn this back over to Brother Terre. Thank you all. And Missionary Wanda.
Thank you.
Thank her for helping us this morning.
Yes.
Amen.
You're using the word missionary quite a bit. I'm curious how you're defining that. Like you said, long-term missionaries. You had 3.
I have long-term, I have short-term,
Right.
and I have local, I have national.
Okay.
I'm using it because it's global to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you heard what I said, our vision is communities, cities, countries, continents.
Okay.
Mission work is did in all those areas.
So when you say the 3 long-term missionaries, are they primarily local or overseas?
Overseas
Okay.
in Africa.
And are they sent out from this ministry?
Not from this ministry,
Okay.
no. They went to other organizations because,
Okay.
keep in mind, you know, African Americans, some churches have missionaries abroad that I know of,
Yeah,
but not all of us, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, Shaking the Nation will be able to send missionaries into areas, because I'm not going to be able to travel as much as I've been traveling. I'm planning on training people and sending them there, you know, and for long term and as well as short term. That's a good question.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
And some of them did set up their own organization.
Yeah, that's what most.
That's what most of them did. They set up there and they went up under their own.
Could you make sure that their names are recorded in like the statistics? I know Jim Sutherland's trying to keep up with names. And
Okay.
you remember
okay.
I don't know if you remember last time, because there's a project where we're trying to determine who is serving long term from the African American community, and I think the list right now, they're less than 200 in the whole world. So if you can give us a bump to like 201,
I'll be glad
That would
to.
help.
There are some missionaries you all are probably not even aware of that goes, and their name is, you know, they're not part of our organization. They're just going,
right.
you know. But you all just want long term.
Going on their own.
Yeah. I know some ladies, you know, Evangelist, we over here in Costa Rica. Evangelist, we over here in Guatemala. I'm like, what? You know, they're going on their own because they're sent. Nobody don't want to sponsor them. And like a lot of people that retire from their jobs, I'm finding out that a lot of people retire and then they go. Like this one missionary, Loretta Jackson, are y'all familiar with her?
Loretta.
She's over in South Africa
Right.
on long-term mission where she doing 3 months at a time. But that's still long-term mission, you know.
She's
So
still with the Carver mission?
No, Loretta.
No, she on her
This
own.
is Loretta. She was with WEC.
Jackson.
She was with WEC.
Oh, okay.
And,
yeah, she's doing her own thing because she contacted me while I was in South Africa. Those pictures that you're looking at, I was in South Africa because I do missions all over South Africa because I have a very large network. And Loretta spotted me and she said, you know what, you need to come over here and help us in this area. The last time I was in South Africa, I was approached by some women pastors, and it was about 50 of them. They said, Evangelist, can you come back and mentor us? You know, and set up something for us so we could be very effective in ministry. See, the grounds for missions, y'all think South Africa is not a good ground for mission, but it is very good grounds for mission. You just got to know where to go at in South Africa. The squatter camps is wide open. Would you see those pictures there, me in the squatter camps? Those people are in great need of ministry, great need of missions, great need of help. They need us. They need missions. And now in South Africa, if y'all been reading the newspaper how they killing the foreigners from coming in working. Them people need Jesus. How you gonna kill somebody from coming to work? So, you know, it's a lot in missions that we can discuss around a table like this and be helpful to one another.
I want to get back into missions again. That's why I'm here. I'm a friend of Myrtle Smalls.
Okay. Yeah, we know murder.
Yeah, we went to mission school together.
What part of Northwest Africa you in? What
Cote
country?
d'Ivoire. I was in Danané.
You stayed there?
Mm-hmm.
Long term?
Yeah.
Y'all have her name?
I don't have her name.
No,
No,
they want y'all want any long-term missionary African American, right?
Right, but I think right now it's like who are currently.
On the
What's
sea.
that?
Currently
But I
serving?
still love the.
Yeah,
who you
you
are.
do.
Yeah, we still love.
You stayed 4 years?
Mm-hmm. I stayed 4 years between Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria.
Darling, I-
Well, look,
Right,
how
her
about,
name
could we
was,
pass around a sheet of paper and you guys just write down
Ivan.
the name and where they are and
Is that
if they have an email address?
Okay.
Because I'll send it to Jim and then he can record it.
You're talking about 200, I know 200 students that went to school with me. I already full-time on Michigan.
Now,
Yeah,
Well, that's why we need the help.
yeah.
So it's a census of missionaries is what I'm hearing right now. I wasn't here at the previous meeting where where Sutherland announced to get these names. But I think if a roll call or some sort of Facebook page is out there where we can direct people, because everybody, you know, who's active in this circle, you know, can say, oh yeah, I got missionary, what's her name, out in Liberia, or missionary who's up there in, you know, this other part of West Africa. So we need to maybe come up with, and maybe it's already in existence.
Well, we had, I think when Richard got us all to get on different committees, there was several of us on one to help Dr. Jim Sutherland to help coordinate and contact agencies and see what African Americans were serving or continually serving with them. And we did that last year, was it? Last year, was it?
Last year.
Yeah. And I think we got a little bit more than 200. I think it was about 230 at the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
it
mean,
has
but-
decreased.
Right, but basically what she's saying is there are a lot of people who are retiring and they're moving
They're going
overseas
into the mission
and
field.
view themselves, and that's how George Lyle in some ways went. You know, he didn't go through a sending agency. He went on his own.
On his own.
And so I'm wondering if we can capture those people as well, because they would still be considered missionaries.
If I were you, I would contact some of the Bible schools and ask them what missionaries they have full-time, you know, long-term on mission.
One of the blessings of going
Yeah.
through a sending agency is that you have a network of resources and you have people that care for you. And you know, one of the downsides of sending agencies is that sometimes the cost is a bit higher than African Americans are comfortable to pay, or anybody's comfortable to pay, really. So it would be great to be able to reach out to them. And I know, like for example, there are events like the National African American Missions Conference, which SIM is co-sponsoring in McLean, Virginia in June, like June 26th to 29th.
Something like that.
Something like that. So if these folks are in town, and if they're in America, it would be great to invite them to that conference, so people can see their faces. When you see their faces, you're like, I want to do that too.
Well, I sure need that information for our July conference. We could really do that here in Atlanta for July, and that would be a great help. Also, we need to, what are we gonna do about Reverend Melvin Jackson? Are we gonna send him a card or something from the brothers?
Yeah.
Because we are his peers, and he had fellowship with us and shared with us.
Yeah, I visited him after the conference last year and hung out with him, and he's still in the same condition. And,
He's in the rehab center,
Maryland.
What I can do, I
He
get
had
a
a
card.
stroke.
I get a card.
real
I
bad.
get a card.
They say
Okay.
he's alert, but he can't hardly talk.
Distributed on the
I can
afternoon.
get a card.
They probably aren't on that
You know,
list.
he was a mentor to her.
Well,
I get a card,
If I
and so
got it,
bring it to the next, I guess, get it to
Okay.
you all and so everybody can sign it.
Yeah, when I saw him, he wasn't able to talk. He makes noises like he is talking, but there are no words.
No words,
You know,
okay.
and it sounds just like him. You just don't know what he's saying. He
And
does.
his wife has died.
His wife died while he didn't even get to see her. She
We
died.
didn't get to see
And
her.
see, we should have been part of that, you know, like Lisa said, something,
So there's a Facebook page already that called Cominod.
Uh-huh.
And the Cominod Facebook page, people have communicated through that things about Reverend Jackson
Okay,
fairly regularly. So if you look on Facebook, and COMINAD, Cominod.
coming
then,
out, okay.
But I mean, that's like one way people have communicated, and
For Reverend Jackson?
for just everything related to African American missions. I mean, but it's only a few people that, it's like Rhonda Tyson out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, Ma Jeffers, she just died.
Yeah.
Ma Jeffers was a missionary out of California. She died, she had a stroke, and she died last week or the week before last. And so that came through the Cominod Facebook page.
And Myra Smith is in Guatemala. You know Myra Smith?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, but yeah, you're right. Some kind of communication thing is needed. So.
You know, one of the things, you did all this. All this Shaking the Nation started out while you were still working at AT&T. Is that right?
Yeah, it was Groundwork International.
Okay.
And then when I retired from AT&T, I incorporated Shaking the Nations.
Okay.
Because it really started with me in ministry at Marine. I was trying to get it to my pastor, but he was like, no, that's you.
Okay.
And so what we did was we continued with our Shaking the Nations. And then it's three entities with Shaking the Nations. It's Shaking the Nation Church, then it's Shaking the Nations Inc., and then Shaking the Nations World Prayer Center. And the World Prayer Center is a place where we hope to have a building where we have all nations and people can come 24/7 and pray and do training for missions and, you know, different prayer groups. That's World Prayer Center. Shaking the Nations Inc. is the mission part, which you see me doing in the international world. That's what Shaking the Nation Inc. is.
Well, that's one of the things I've appreciated about you. Here you were, I mean, working full-time, having your full-time employment, but, I mean, you are a mover and shaker. That's what I appreciate about you.
Thank you.
That,
Yeah, I was
God's given
working
you
at
this heart.
AT&T
Yeah.
and doing mission work. I would use all my vacation time,
but I would,
everything for to go to the nations.
Right.
if we had 300,000 come in a year, we set aside 10% of that for missions. And I think that's one of the things that pastors or ministers need to understand. Jesus said, go and make disciples. And the black churches, or most black churches, and you all know this, especially here in this country, they thought ministry was just preaching in the pulpit on Sunday. Because that's what we were taught. And so, and what I'm doing now, I'm talking to pastors. I say, really, 10%. Really, you want people to tithe 10%? Why don't you save 10% to sit on the mission field? And they don't think that way. And when you work at Newburgh, I worked at Mega Church Hill, so we had full-time missionaries. They didn't have to go out and raise support. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to teach some of the colleagues now about setting aside 10%. You know, a lot of people don't think like New Birth or Church of Word of Faith I worked at. So,
But it took Donald Canty to talk to Bishop Long and say, you need to set aside money. And so for all of Bishop Long's flaws and the things that people
He did.
associate with him negatively,
he did.
we were one of the few African American churches that had, we sponsored like 40 different ministries on a monthly
That's right.
basis. And some people got significant support. So I don't remember what our total budget was, but it was very significant. And if we could encourage pastors to do that, that would be great.
Do you have a list of all the different people that you have
In the different
in
countries?
different countries and whatnot?
Yes, yes. In Liberia, I could tell you, right off the top, who you could call. In Ghana, West Africa, I could tell you who you can call.
No, I mean, what I mean is that,
Do you want a list of them?
No. I'm not what I was. I'm just responding to what you're
Oh.
saying in terms of the names of a lot of people who are out there that
Right.
are missed.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
you have a lot of people that you know that they don't have any idea. Is that better? So like.
You're talking about missionaries.
Yeah, your mission, whether or not you have your own list of your own missionaries that you have contacts and relations.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, the ones that I've trained.
The ones that you've trained
Yeah.
and tracked and whatnot. Or you said you sent them through different churches and whatnot, so you
Some
probably-
of them are setting up their own missions.
Oh,
Some
okay.
of them going in other churches and starting missions. Because that's what they want to do. That's
But you don't keep track of all of them.
not all of them, but some of them call me. They touch bases with me from time to time, or they touch bases with Selena because they know she's in position at Berean now. But yeah, from time to time they do. It's about 100 missionaries, I can name them.
It's about 100.
Because at the time that I was the director over missions, global missions at Berean, in order to go to the mission field with me, you had to be trained. And you had to go through, like they do 6 weeks. I made them go through training all the way till it was time to leave. Because of the fact, you don't want to take nobody in the mission field and they get hurt or they misunderstood. You already been trained, you know what you're supposed to be doing. You know, we only here to protect you. And then there's laws and things
Right.
that you have to train people.
Right.
You know, the church is not going to be responsible
Oh,
for
yeah,
you
sure.
if you do something crazy. It's liability involved. So I have to train people like that. You know, because sometimes people think going to Africa, oh, this is glamorous. Oh, I'm going to Africa. And then they go over there into Uganda, which is, I'm going to use that for example because that's where the church is going now. You know, they have a lot of different diseases in there. And then you want to wander off and go home with somebody, you know, you're not protected. You know, one time I took a group, the girls was all liking the boys. I said, HIV/AIDS in South Africa, you know, no flirting in the mission field. You know, I had to teach classes like that. You know, don't come to the mission field with me looking for no husband.
That's right.
This not that kind of trip. You know, and then they would say, oh, she the taskmaster. I don't care what you call me, but I got to protect the church. Because I'm your leader, Dr. Karen B. Lee is going to be sued. And I told Doc, I said, you're going to be sued if you don't have an evangelist on your team who's going to tell these folks. You know, and that's why they'll be very effective. They still sign waivers. They're still going in the mission field. Doc, we need a budget. My pastor allowed me to write a budget. The first time they ever had a mission budget. And the first year we went, it was something like about $4,000 or $5,000. I said, okay, Lord, they're giving me a little something. I said, but next year I'm going to blow their mind. Next year I wrote a budget for about $65,000. And they was like, huh? My brother, he dead and gone. He said, Evangelist, isn't that going to? Boy, I'm handing this to the Lord. Lift that paper up to the Lord. Hand that paper over to Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee said, okay, Evangelist, you want to sponsor these children? You want to feed this one? You want to feed that? Can we cut back a little bit right here? Doc, we taking almost 20 missionaries to the mission field. Plane tickets cost about $50,000. You gonna spend more on plane tickets than we gonna do in the mission field? That don't make no sense.
You know, it's not a bad idea to, like, at our organization, in SIM, if you go for 2 years or less, you sign a statement that said you'll put your romantic life on hold for those 2 years. You're not there for that. You're there to serve God. and
Amen.
kids. So, you know, right up front. And if they don't, then they get sent home.
Yeah, yeah. And if they travel with me and do something crazy, I say, well, Dr. Lee will meet you at the airport. Because we not responsible for this. And I had a saying, Marine ain't responsible.
You've heard that several times.
They heard that. Marine ain't responsible. And at first they thought I was being real hard, but then the attorney of the church told them, she's absolutely right. I was saying stuff that the pastor shouldn't have to say if he got that kind of leader. Because we are supposed to say with the pastor, because you know our pastor, we love him, and if he kind of hurt your feelings, you know, you won't run up. But see, if Evangelist Smith, bruh, you wrong and you not coming with us no more. And then go see the pastor. Go see the pastor. I'm gonna tell the pastor before he come see him. Pastor, this what happened. You know the church could be sued. Da 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 da. See, you got to know how to work in the field, and you got to know how to work those pastors, and you have to make them understand. You know, when you put leaders in position, they need to know everything about missions and outreach, Evangelist 101. They need to know this. And so, in the mission field, in an African American church, like Berean Christian Church, who are being very effective in mission, and I could speak for them because, you know, that was my baby. I could speak for that church. That church is doing mission at how much money y'all have spent out there already, Sister Selena? Yeah. Your budget about $300,000 now. Overall, see,
close.
they was putting like $4,000 when I got there 10 years ago. See, that's with time, growth. And then you got a good leader in place. She gonna watch. Now she gonna watch that money.
You should.
And she should. She should. And so, you know, when you approach an African American pastor, you just got to be very strategic. You got to figure out what they're already doing. And you said, let's enhance that. And that's what we did. We just enhanced it. What they were doing. Now, Pastor, don't you think you want to go overseas a little bit? Pastor said, go to Jamaica. That's where we went first. Now, ain't no mission too much in Jamaica to me unless I go in Kingston. Jamaica was like going on a vacation with the missionaries. Said, come on, y'all, this way he want us to go. We going to Jamaica. We laid up in the resort. Preaching to all the vacationers.
I want to be a missionary if I can.
Pastor, this ain't really no mission. This ain't
My own neighborhood.
that was a vacation. So, you know, my experience as a missionary and doing mission work and leading teams, you know, there were some good days and there were some bad days. But overall, my hidden agenda was to get me some missionaries, and I didn't care what it takes. They can talk about me, they can laugh at me. Y'all gonna be missionaries when I finish with you. And that was my hidden agenda. And it paid off too. Because some of the missionaries who fought against me, they're my biggest fan now. Because they doing the work, they understand. I see what she's talking about. I see what it took to be a missionary. You know, and my dream was to go stay in foreign country, but every time I got ready to go, something happened. My brother died, then I caught malaria, then my children told me, you're not going over there for the next 2 years. So, you know, eventually one day I'll go. Any other questions?
Can I start a wild idea? I mean, I'm always thinking of wild ideas. You have to forgive me. And I'm new, so I mean, would it be possible if, I mean, this will take some work. You think of all the different people here, because I'm new, I mean, and there's a lot that I need to learn. I think there's a lot of stuff, information here in this room that needs to be disseminated more broadly, frankly.
That's true.
And you know, in terms of the listing of just here in Georgia, or here in the metropolitan Atlanta, the different more opportunities of mission groups, represented here at this table and others who are not here today. And in terms of what you do, what the opportunity, who to contact, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so forth. And maybe develop a whole big magazine or something like of that nature. The reason why I'm thinking about that, we have students who will go to this missions conference, and especially one of the challenges that we have African American students who go to Conference Lake Urbana, and many of them, there are tons of mission, 200 some mission in the discipline. It's overwhelming. And a lot of the African American students who might be interested in missions are not aware of who in the black community
Right.
are doing missions.
Right.
And if I really want to go on a mission trip, which church or which agency, who do I contact? Because you don't know. There's tons of and you go to different mission groups, and different people may be sensitive to them. Some may not be as aware. It's just. And they just have an idea, and not of some, but not aware of what's happening. Does that make sense?
We took our time and did short-term missions. Well, that's what I would like to do with a group of young adults. Take them to the mission field so they can see something other than what they grew up in. And I didn't know the people to connect with to do that.
Right.
And that is what I really want to do, because until we get the people to see what we have been in, they're not going to go to the mission field.
Exactly.
And see, this is why Shaking the Nation is setting up Train the Trainer. So you can go back to your church and train your team
Right,
when
right.
they get ready to go.
Right.
Because we don't read a whole lot as a people, and we're not taking courses like perspectives. We're not, taking seminary level things. Not that you have to, but what I'm saying is there have been so many mistakes made in the name of Jesus since missions started, so to speak. And since we're not reading those mistakes, we're doing the same thing, and now they're just black mistakes. First the white missionaries made those mistakes, and they're like, don't do that. That's going to lead you down the wrong path. Now black people have disposable income.
Thing.
We have disposable income, opportunity to travel. We're doing the same things.
That's right.
And then we want people to endorse it financially and say this is a good job. And I can't endorse those things because I know where they lead. They lead to dependency. Look at Liberia. Everyone's like, okay, African Americans are going to go back to Liberia and help. And what do? We colonized our black brothers and sisters.
Sure.
And I've seen too much missions, even in the black context, duplicating those things. And so there has to be some level of regulation. And that's when feelings are going to get hurt.
Pastor looking for Christian education. Remember I was telling you that, Sister Mary? If you go, and what I'm doing now, like you were talking about education, if you go to a pastor, you ask somebody in Christian education department, he said, how do I go about setting that up? And so, and I've been doing it for 30 years, so I go in and set up Christian education, but in the Christian education department, we set up a mission school.
Yes.
Terry in Myrtle teaching in the School of Ministry. And Terry next year going to be teaching the second year student missions. And he taught on the marriage and family the first year. But pastor, see, I'm incorporating that in the Christian education, and the pastors love it. I'm going into 4 more other churches and doing the same thing. And that's how I'm connecting Merle and Terry with the pastors. And like you said, now you have some accountability. Why? Because now that church is set up, and now the church is training, and then if we, like you said, I have to agree with you, you have to find out who credible. And we not just going to assign students to go to someone to Africa until we see the track record. You need that.
That's good. That's checks and balances
That's
all
right.
the way. And then the thing is, I think what's happening, and it's not separate, but Carter G. Woodson, he wrote The Miseducation of the Negro, all right? And not only has miseducation been in the educational field, it's been in the spiritual community also, all right? And I think that's what you're hitting, and I think that model
And
and
then you gotta bring
example.
both of them
Right, there you
together.
go, there you go, that's it.
And he said something
That's
people
it.
don't wanna read, you know?
That's right.
And that's,
Yeah.
that's true, and there's time for people to, you know, get back to understanding. What Jesus, the whole point, go back to Jesus. Jesus said, make disciples. How you make disciples, you have to train and instruct people. Mm-hmm.
When you're about to go on missions, or if you have it in your heart to go on missions, you need to pray and ask God where to send you.
Right.
And often we want to go to areas where we are originally from, but the Lord may not want you to go there.
Good.
Now, I've been about half of the world, and I have yet to go to Africa. I've been to all of Southeast Asia, I'm about to start on East Asia and stuff, but the Lord has not sent me. And I've had people come and say, well, we have missions in our own backyard, why don't you do it here? The Lord can send me there. He's sending people over from Korea and China and stuff here to the United States to do missions. So when we start setting up missions programs and we want to do all these different things, that's on somebody else's dream, on someone else's vision that the Lord put on their heart.
Right.
So if we keep God out of it and we just want to go, yeah, we're going to end up at resorts and all these other places and stuff. You have to go and do hard work. And where
That's
I
right.
go, it's a lot of level 3 security.
Right,
You have to be willing to give up self
right,
in order to go on missions.
That's right.
right.
And I think the point is you have to be trained how to give up self. Because the perspective in a person's mind, well, I'm going here, I'm going there, they build a resume. But what happens with that resume? You're gonna do the same thing. You're going on vacation. If you don't change your hard drive up here, if you don't have the Christ mind, it's not gonna happen.
And he will tell you where to go. I've gone in places that people would just shatter. They would just run. You just mentioned some of the places I've gone to and some of the people I've seen, but I'm focused. I'm not there to build roofs and stuff.
Right.
I'm bringing people to Christ.
Amen.
And so when I go to these places, the Lord walks with me. I mean, I don't know if anybody here believes what I'm saying, but he will tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And you could be trained on how to do all these different things, but you will never be trained for exactly what you gotta do, where
Right.
you have to go to.
Yeah, that's right.
When I graduated from Bible school, Ms. Chung, in 1977, one of the board members of the school approached me and said, how you like to go to the Philippines? I said, where is that? He said, if you go, I will set you up for life. I'm like, I don't know how to, what is missions? I said, only missions I knew was in my church, they had the little ladies that wore the white dresses.
White dress.
And I didn't know anything about international missions. So I was 21 years of age, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't go. Because he said, just tell me you want to go. I just fund it for the rest of your life. Like, I don't know anything about that. So he took a white couple and said, but I didn't know. And never was in it, trained or anything in mission, didn't know anything.
My question is, and I guess it comes back to where I'm at. You talked about when you were 21 years old. I'm saying somebody now today, a 21-year-old, what do we need to tell that person today?
Right.
You know, because things are different
Right.
today from how they were back then,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully we have more people, more opportunities and possibilities. And and the average young person, I mean, growing up in this kind of society, they're very they're very sophisticated. When they ask questions, they want to know a whole lot of things. So, well, what is they have a whole series of questions. And sometimes we got to figure out what are the appropriate answers to give them.
Right.
And that's part of what I see the challenge for us, for a group like this, to think about, okay, how do I know we got to deal with the church, and then we got to deal with the young person who's just excited, praying, and really has a heart for missions. How do we help and nurture that person, helping them discover the will of God for his or her life, understand the various possibilities and options, the dangers, you know, and all of that.
I was over in Cambodia. I was on this one water on a canoe. And I was not prepared for women to be throwing their babies in the water because they couldn't afford them. And people are drinking this water, they're pooping in the water, they're washing the water, they have fish farms in this water. I was not prepared for that. I was focused on exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And I succeeded in that because I had faith.
Right.
When you start asking people all there, it's gonna put that, it's gonna create barriers, and they're saying, well, and black folks, you know, we're afraid of all these various snakes and crocodiles and anything else. Somebody got bacteria on their skin. You afraid of all that stuff.
I think anybody.
Well, this is
Everything's not ethnic.
exactly. But with this round table, we're talking about African Americans, okay?
What she's saying is correct. If we tell people about, oh, you know they got snakes, oh, they got crocodiles, they're not gonna go, y'all.
Yeah.
You have to have a more innovative approach
Yeah.
when you teaching missions. And even with the young people, like what I love about, I keep going back to my church. They just took about how many children on a mission trip
They went
to New Orleans,
and to Florida.
into Florida, and they went in the swamp area because I was following them on Facebook. Now, had they told them children that they have alligators out there, them children probably wouldn't have went, y'all. So what my sister is saying, Sister Coleman is saying right here is true. We don't start off talking about the dangers of missions.
Right.
We focus their mind on what God is sending you to do. What do you chose to do? Hey, do you know what your call really is? Like I told you, I took missionaries in the field. Some went one time. Some ain't going back at all.
That's what I was getting.
I took them to Haiti, and they were trained. And they went to Haiti, and this one brother, he was my cameraman. Evangelist, I ain't never going back.
He says that to this day.
And he says it to this day. He's not going back to Haiti because there's so much devastation. And just like she said, they washing in water that they do urine in, they do this. They're doing all that in Haiti too. You know, I don't have to go to Africa to do mission. I could go right there ahead and find everything you talking about.
And I don't claim ownership on people. You
No.
come to me, you ask me stuff, and something. If your cameraman came to me, it's like, that's something you need to take up with God.
That's
Pray on
exactly
it.
right. You
And
need
if
to
he
pray.
wants you to go again, he gonna send you.
Send
It
you
ain't gonna have
again.
nothing to do with me.
But you know what he did though, sis? He sent his son. And his son was my cameraman. And his son, because his son's life needed to change. His son's life did a 365-degree turn. This boy literally turned out to be one of the best kids you want to know because he went to Haiti on a mission trip. See, I take kids who parents have problems. I said, let me bring them to Haiti. I bring them to Haiti, let me show what the bad guys are doing. When he come back here, he gonna be different. He went to Haiti and he saw, I said, now do you want to stay over here? Oh no, Evangelist, I'm coming, no. When he got back home, he was changed. It's a lot we can do with youth in missions.
But if we put fear in them.
No,
and stuff.
don't put fear in
But
them.
I've been to airports that you would think that there's a conveyor belt, you're gonna pick your luggage off, but everybody's standing in these two lines and they take your luggage and they throw it across the floor, and then you say, where's the bathroom? And then there's squatty potties.
Yeah.
Well, what in the heck is a squatty potty? If we told someone
A
about
hole
a
in
squatty
the
potty,
ground.
half the people, especially women, they would just walk on out. No, and those are some of the obstacles that we throw in people's way, not even knowing.
That's why we
because
gotta
it's
train.
good gossip. It's juicy gossip on what all went on the mission field. But what people don't say is, how many people did you bring to Christ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had people that were singing songs in their own languages and stuff. I was on rice paddy fields in a little hut, avoiding security, avoiding the police and stuff. You put that on tape too. Please don't put it online and stuff. And they're singing their hearts out for Christ. Their parents had been taken and were told, if you pronounce Christ, I will let you go. And they said no, so they were beaten. And then they were released. Had they been caught, practicing Christianity, they would have been thrown in jail and beaten.
That's right.
But they came out of the mountains and stuff on oxen and carts. They don't have electricity. They don't have any running water. They don't have any of that stuff. And they take their ox, that's their cars, their oxen, their carts, no cell phones, none of that stuff, coming out of the mountains, proclaiming Christ. And if you hear them singing their hearts out, and here we are up in this room and stuff, talking about, well, how do we go about telling our people? Pray on it. If the Lord sends you there, you will go.
You'll go.
And you cannot fight him. That'd be just like Jonah and the whale. Tried to hide from Christ and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, he gonna find
If
you.
you ask for it, it's gonna
I
happen.
think what Tony's kind of getting past all the things that surround them and what they see and experience to say, well, what's your commitment to the gospel? What's your
I think-
purpose for living?
Amen.
And if you can get them to have that worldview, that mindset through mentoring them over, probably years, then they'll be better candidates for going and won't have the culture shock that we hear about all the different things,
Yeah, I think part of what I'm saying, trying to say, what I think, there are young people, African American young people, young men and women, who are excited about the Lord, who have a vision, who want to, and because they're young, they're willing to take risks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not like some of us older folks. I mean, me and some of them. I mean, not all of them. I mean, but some of them are really ready to go. Those are the people that I'm thinking about. As a young person who's got the idea. Okay, I understand the mandate. I'm praying. I'm seeking the Lord, and I believe God has something for me to do somewhere else. It's just the mechanism of how you get from there, and how does that person think through the various options? Do I go through a mission agency?
Right.
Do I go through my church? Do I talk with my pastor? What are the
All those things.
Yeah. You do all of that, but some of them may come from all kinds of different churches.
Exactly.
Churches may be in different places,
That's true.
and they may talk to a pastor, and then they get discouraged, and then they may not be
Oh,
aware
yeah.
of.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there are other
Oh,
options
yeah.
that you can explore. That's bad one. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sometimes what we call, there are certain mission trips that we're taking that I think are more introductory in nature. And then there are some that are, for me, a little more grassroots or a little more hardcore. And I think a lot of people, before they get to the point of being strong enough in who they are to say, Lord, you direct me as to where to go, sometimes they may have that introductory type missions experience and what we call getting bit by the missionary bug, when you realize that that is something that that you're drawn to or that God has called you to do. And then I think you get to the place where you're that strong in being directed. I know a lot of the missionaries that initially came on the field may have been going for one reason. And then when they got on the field, their hearts changed or they were changed. And then they begin to see it in a different way. And for me, that's like an introduction, an introductory type experience. So where I can sit and say, God, tell me where it is you want me to go. You show me. There are some people who don't even know that that's a part of their calling yet. And I think when you have those introductory type trips, it opens people up. And I think people mature to that point and sometimes start at a different point. I am excited when we do trips that are educationally based, but then I'm also excited when it's more about the evangelism and the clothes, and whether or not it's the building of a school or whether or not it's the construction of a library at an orphanage. Or it's so many different facets to it that when we say missionary work, it just looks so different at different times. I can't paint it with one stroke. I'm more drawn to what type of missionary trip, is this trip? For us, ultimately, it's always about salvation. make sure that we offer Christ no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing. So it's really interesting to hear. I have really enjoyed hearing the different levels, to me, of missionary work that are in the room. And so I agree with a lot that's been said. And I think that in terms of our youth, they are more open, a lot of times, to some of the work.
And
it's
then
a
that's
blessing.
exactly what we have discovered. You know, sometimes the impact on the young people by just getting out of the country and to see a different kind of lifestyle. And you know, so, and we've taken students out and students say, oh, I need to go to McDonald's. Well, there ain't no McDonald's anywhere near.
You gotta make chicken on the road, chicken on the
So,
stick.
and all of a sudden, they come back to the United States and they think differently.
Right.
And that they themselves have changed.
Totally.
And hopefully God can use that too.
No disrespect, I apologize in advance, but you have to crawl before you walk, all right? And that's admirable. I mean, your strength, ma'am, what you feel and how you can relate to the prayer. Most young people, as a senior dealing with you for 30 years, they don't have that, all right? Their ecstasy is, okay, maybe moving out of the country and let God take care of them to bring them back. Because there's going to be a change when they go, you know. But so I think the thing is that, you know, to encourage them to move, to crawl, then to walk, and God will take care of the rest, you know. But I think as, you know, spiritual leaders at the table, I think it's more necessary for the encouragement, for the empowerment to move them with that first crawl.
Yeah.
And I think that was beautiful what you said.
Yeah.
Well, I know with my foundation, one of our main focuses is on mobilization, and the strategy is basically just making Jesus famous. So it's putting all of your resources, it's putting all of the materials, all the training, all of it in one spot so that you can just get it out there. And the best way to do that is to go where the masses are, and that is through media. And so with the taping of the show, what we are accomplishing or trying to accomplish is getting the youth on board. I'm working with some people now where we're trying to do a show that's all just geared towards the youth. Getting involved in the youth conferences where they're all in a room, and then you just expand missions. You get them to understand what missions is about, and through what people who mobilize the youth, who have a mission agency with different youth-oriented events, and just get the mindset, get everything going for them so they can see all the different ways that they can be at their age, how they can be exposed to the nations. Right. So that's how, that's what we do. And so if you guys have any other ideas, any resources you want to lend, that'll be great. But that's what we do. And that's what we're looking forward to completing. So I just wanted to put that out there. So, you know, we're always looking for youth groups, youth conferences that within your churches. One church, they're having a lock-in, and we're invited to come and shoot there. So we're doing the show centered around just that youth group. So we're open, totally open to getting it out there in the different groups within the church. You know, how can the women, as a woman, how do you use all of your gifts on the mission field? And, you know, and then you have resources. You know, you have resources to come in and say, hey, you know, how you can take your hobby, crocheting or whatever, and use it to empower the nations. You know, so it's women's groups, it's youth groups, it's taking your business global. How can you impact the nations through your business? You know, so it's all these different groups. And so I just believe that mobilizing is not so much as, it is, you do put it on a big scale, but you do have to go small because you have to make it specialized to you. How can I reach you where you are? So that is what, what we do. So I'm encouraged, you know, to hear all these different things. But yeah, I am interested in getting to know each one of you, because at some point in time, we're gonna cross our roads again, because I do want to get to know more about what you do. I want to know how are you impacting the nations, and how does that translate into how we can do it together, because that is what it's all about. No one can do it on their own, and that's what it's always been about, doing it together.